Hello everyone, welcome back to Media and Information Literacy subject. And I am your teacher, Ma'am Marilee. And today we're going to discuss about the evolution of traditional media to the new media and also about the information literacy. You may get your module for your reference as you listen to me and watch the PowerPoint presentation. All right, so I would like also to apologize about my voice because wala siya sa good condition today, but I am hoping na audible gihapon ako ang voice and that you can still understand me. All right, so before we proceed to our proper discussion, let us have a quick review about the lesson last week. So, what is media literacy? So again, media literacy is the ability to identify the different types of media and understand the messages they're sending. And also, what is information literacy? That is a set of ability to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. All right. What are the elements of communication process? Diba ingon ko last time, the communication process is not complete if there is an element that is missing. All right, so the elements of the communication process are, of course, number one, the interactors. They are the sender and the recipient. And then the message or the information. Next is the medium or the channel. And then the feedback or reaction or response. And then the communication, the communication environment or the setting. So those are the elements of communication process. And here's a question. I think this question is on your module. What is a major characteristic of the communication process? Is it reactive, proactive, or interactive? I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, so the correct answer is interactive. I hope you got that right on your module. Next, new media includes, is it television, computer, or newspaper? Right, this is actually very simple. The correct answer is computer. That computer belongs to the new media. All right, okay, so that is the quick review. Quick lang siya, no? Let's proceed to our topic for this recorded lecture. Natabunan siya actually sa picture, that is the evolution of the traditional to new media. When we say evolution, it has something to do with the changes, the evolution. So from traditional to new media, there has been an evolution, there has been changes. So let us know how and let us know why. All right. So we must understand first that there are 4 eras in the evolution of the human communication. So number 1, it's writing. Number 2, printing. And then number 3, telecommunications. And the last one is the interactive communication. Let us talk or let us discuss it one by one. Again, these are the 4 eras in the evolution of the human communication. Ano bang pinagdaanan ng process ng ating communication? First era, all right, so as you can see in the picture, there are ancient letters that are carved into stones and rocks. So that's their way before sa ating ng ating mga ancestors, the way they inform other people or the way they print the information. So they use stones, and the picture in the middle are the tools that they use to carve into the stones and put the message. So this era is writing, and this was the main method of media communication for several years before na-invent ang technology. So this was the main method of media communication for several years, that is writing. The next era has something to do with this. So the picture that those are printing machines. Those are printing machines, and obviously, because this is the second era after writing, the printing era followed. And during the printing era, the printing machine was invented, and then the books could then be reproduced. So this is the second era. And then the third era has something to do with the pictures, the telegraph, and the telephone. So this is the telecommunications era, wherein the telegraph and the telephone helped in distance communication. It enabled the communication over distances, because during the writing era or before the telecommunications, the people just travel. They just travel para maka-adto sa ilahang gusto adtuan and inform message, or if they want to tell someone about something, diba? Mo travel pagid sila para lang maingon nila ilang gusto ingon. But with the help of telegraph and telephone, then distance communication happened. And then the last or the fourth era, yes, has something to do with the computer and the mobile phones. I don't think nakaapas pa mo ani nga mga phone, but I guess makita pa na ninyo karon. The computer, I don't know if nakaapas pa mo na, but ako personally, I saw that, and I actually used that type of computer. So now medyo nalahi naman gid, no, because of course we're talking about evolution. But I suppose that you have idea of this na mga karaan nga mga gadgets. So this belongs to the interactive communication, wherein the computers were invented, and kumbaga mas na-develop kung before sa telecommunications kaganina, telephone and telegraph, so na-develop and it became interactive communication. Mas dali na lang yun mag-contact with other people. Right, let's proceed. The communication channels have evolved. So as you can see kaganina, from writing to printing to telecommunications and interactive communications. So before, our ancestors, they write on sa mga kahoy so that they can express what they want to say. And then naana dayoy umaluhokan or town criers. They are the ones who parang nagbibigay ng mga balita. Nagbibigay ng mga balita. They are called the umaluhokan. Parang siya yung source ng news na para ma-inform ang lahat. So tawag sa kanila town criers or umaluhokan. And then different literary forms, storytelling. I remember that before, dili pa uso ang cellphone and gadgets, so magtapok-tapok lang gid na. And then for example, lolo na mag-storytelling about his childhood, or lola ba, about her childhood. So that was before na-invent ang mga gadgets. Karon lahi naman gid, no. And then the mass media channels like TV and radio, and then now the digital media, which we use a lot today, diba? Like social media and anything digital, right? So these are some of the highlights of Philippine mass media history. Kumaga ano bang naganap noon? This is the history. So the first book published was Doctrina Christiana. Okay, so dili kayo na siya common na question, but someday So, but someday, no, inyuhaning atubang a question, at least you know that the first book published was Doctrina Christiana. And then, the first daily newspaper, I think we had discussed it last week. It's La Esperanza. That's the first daily newspaper. And the first Filipino feature film is Ang Dalagang Bukid, or The Country Maiden. So for other highlights of Philippine mass media history, you can read on your mojo. So you must familiarize them. The highlights of the Philippine media history. There are many more. All right. Let's proceed with the term mediamorphosis. So it sounds like metamorphosis. I know that you know what metamorphosis is. It is a major change physically, physical change. For example, the butterfly, before it can fly, it starts first as a caterpillar, and then there are changes hangtod nga mahimo siyang butterflies. So that is metamorphosis. So what is mediamorphosis? Mediamorphosis is the transformation of communication media, and it is usually brought about by the complex interplay of perceived needs, competitive and political pressures, and social and technological innovations. That's according to Roger Fidler. So yeah, it's a transformation of communication media. So that is the mediamorphosis, and usually brought about by different reasons and influences. So when we say a transformation of the communication media, that is mediamorphosis. And there's also another term that we need to know, remediation. So remediation naman is the repurposing and refashioning of old media with the new. Because diba, the old media, for example, television and radio, they were not gone, or they were not vanished. They're still here, up to date. Nagyapon tayo TV, nagyapon tayo radio. But na-repurpose siya and refashion. So for example sa radio. Ang radio today, I don't know if you listen to podcast. I don't know if you're familiar. So if you're familiar, a podcast is a repurposed or refashioned based from the radio. And also the YouTube, diba? It's actually based from the television, right? So that is remediation, repurposing and refashioning of old media with new. Hindi nawawala yung old media, parang na-refashion lang, right, to make it something new and relevant sa atuang time nowadays. So that is the remediation. Okay, next let's proceed with information literacy. We have here stages and elements. So we need to know also how to get the information and be information literate. Sabi ko kanina, diba? What is information literacy? It is a set of abilities to recognize how to and how to locate the information, when to use it effectively, and the like. So here are the stages and the elements of information literacy. Number 1, identifying and accessing information needs. We must need to identify ano ba yung information na kailangan natin. So isa-isahin natin kung ano-ano yung mga information na kailangan. And then the second stage is determining the sources of information. Saan natin kukunin yung information? And then the third one is locating or searching na for information. So gagamitin natin dito yung mga search engine if we like to research online. And then analyzing and evaluating the quality of information, because not all information that we can find in internet is worth to get and worth to share. So we need to analyze and evaluate the quality of information. Next is the organizing, storing, or archiving information. Once we already got the information that we need, it is also important that we organize and store them so that we can access them anytime again, right? And then next is using the information in an ethical and efficient and effective way, meaning when we already have the information, it is also our responsibility to use it ethically and not use it in bad or harmful ways. And then the next is creating and communicating new knowledge, because when we already know, we already have the information, and then we can share it to other people and let them know about the things that we have learned by researching. Okay, let's talk about the sources of information, because this is also important. We have three types. The first is primary, and the second is secondary. The third is tertiary. So the primary, obviously, it's an original source. So we can get the original source from diary, because it's our own experiences, from original artwork, poems, letters, and photography. So the primary sources are the records or events, or records of events or evidence as they actually happened, without any interpretation or commentary. So what actually happened? So that is the primary source. So example, yan, diary, original artwork, poems, letters, and the photography. Now the secondary source naman, it is, these sources offer an analysis or restatement. So these are the secondary sources: the textbooks, edited works, and commentaries. And then the tertiary source are the sources that index or abstract or organize or compiles the sources. So the examples are dictionary, Wikipedia, manuals, and fact books. So these are our sources of information. So the primary, for example, your own experience, and then, for example, you have a friend, and then giingnan nimo siya kung unsa imong experience, and then katong imong giingnan nga friend nitabi pod sa lain, so secondary source na siya, because dili man siya ang naka-experience. Alright? And then if na-compile pa gito into a book or something na list tong imong experience, then that's already the tertiary source. Okay. So next is how to evaluate information, because sabi ko nga kanina, not all information are necessary. Diba? Dili ta ng information kailangan nato kuhaon. We need to evaluate what information do we need or we get. So how? So the first one is let us look for the accuracy, or tama ba? Sakto ba ang information? And then the authority. Credible ba ang source nga ato ang nabasa? So, for example, about coronavirus. Who is the credible source about the coronavirus? That is the Department of Health or the World Health Organization or any authority. Basta credible. Next is the currency. So, is it up to date or current? The information must be also updated or current. And then the objectivity. So, the author, klaro ba ang stand sa author kung unsa ang iyahang bias dito? So, klaro ba ang iyahang purpose? So, let's look also for the objectivity. And then the relevance. Is it important? The information ba is necessary? So, that is how we evaluate the information. And also, we need to organize the information. So how? We can organize the information by location. For example, places in Mindanao, so we can organize natin, or the places in Luzon lang. And then we can also organize the information by time. For example, history. We can organize ano bang nangyari, yearly or monthly. And then we can also organize by category. This is very useful to me. For example, as a teacher, I categorize a lot of information. For example, I have a different folder for my advisory class. So, nandoon lahat ng mga students na in my advisory class. And then, I also have folders for memorandum. So that, yeah, that is for organizing. And I have a lot of data folders with different information sa sulod, because that is how you can organize the information. And then the hierarchy, or yung pagkakasunod-sunod. And then the alphabetical arrangement. So that is how you can organize the information. Now let's talk about plagiarism. So plagiarism, if wala pa mo kadungog ani, this is very important because this is illegal. So it is defined as an act of using or closely imitating the language and thoughts of another author and the representation of that author's work as one's own, as by not crediting the original author. So sa laktod nga pagkastorya, imong giangkon ang dili imuha. So that is plagiarism. So for example, na research si Juan de la Cruz, and then gikuha nimo ang iyang research, gi-copy nimo, gi-paste nimo, and then gitanggal nimo ang pangalan ni Juan de la Cruz, you changed it to your own name, then that is already plagiarism. So how can we avoid plagiarism? Let us always cite the source kung kinsa ang author. Ibutang gid nato na siya always sa references, or i-mention nato or i-cite nato, but never replace the author of the name of the author with you, especially kung wala man kayo na-contribute ato nga research, for example. Or for example sa Facebook, like photo ni grab ka, imong gi-save ang photo, but that's not yours, kay dili man ikaw ang nag-capture. So that can be also plagiarism. That anything na dili imuha nga imuhang giangkon, plagiarism na siya, and that is not a good practice. Okay, so let us have a quick review before we end this recorded lecture. Again, if I am too fast, then you can listen. You can listen repeatedly again, or twice or thrice or more, so that excuse me, so that ma-familiarize jud ninyo. Okay, so a quick review. You may answer. I will give you 5 seconds to answer on your own where you are at right now. So number 1, what was the main method of media communication for several years before printing and telecommunications? Is it writing or interactive communication? Okay, so the correct answer is writing. So I hope you got it right. Number 2 question. What era does the telegraph and the telephone invented? Is it printing or interactive communication? All right, so the correct answer is letter B, interactive communication. Next question. Which among these two statements is true? A, the new media arises spontaneously and independently. Or letter B, older forms of media usually do not die as they continue to evolve. So read it again if you must, so that you can understand and find the best answer. Again, which among these two statements is true? A, the new media arises spontaneously and independently. Or letter B, older forms of media usually do not die as they continue to evolve. So, the correct answer is letter B. Diba sabi ko kanina, hindi na excuse me, hindi na mamatay yung traditional media. It just, yung remediation, sabi ko kanina, nirepurpose lang siya and nirefashion into something new na relevant karon sa atuang sa digital age. Next question, an example of primary source. Is it diary or magazine? Primary source. So the correct answer is yes, diary. I know that you got it right. Now, number 5. How can we avoid plagiarism? A, copy and paste anyway. Or letter B, properly cite your sources. Right, so the correct answer is Letter B, of course, properly cite your sources. Okay, so that is our recorded lecture for this week, week 2. And I hope that you have learned something. And then I will record again for the 3rd week. And always read in advance sa inyong module so that you can learn more and comprehend as much as you can so that dali lang mo maka-answer sa toong questions. Alright, so I will update you sa toong group chat kung unsang inyong mga activities and exercises na ansiran. So thank you for listening. Bye!